The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. No retribution, and thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated across the United States into 12 million additional households. I am your guest, I am your host and a guest in your computer, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Well, you know, President-elect Obama promised throughout his campaign change. When he was elected, in many parts of this country, there was this big relief. Oh, my gosh, that we are going to get change, hopefully for the better. It wasn't just the United States. Around the world, there were a lot of people thinking, oh, my goodness, this guy hopefully represents change. And I say hopefully because, as you all know, in my maybe not so humble opinion, the past 8 years were just terrible when it came to foreign policy. Diplomacy went out the window. Perhaps as a result of what happened on September 11th, 2001, it caused the administration to change its focus and forget about diplomacy and concentrate on what it thought was the right things to do to protect the nation against terrorism. I don't know. Well, what is really in store for America's foreign policy under Barack Obama? I thought it would be very interesting to bring in a guy who's got a little bit of expertise in this area. Stephen Zunes is a politics professor at the University of San Francisco. He is also Middle East editor for Foreign Policy in Focus and associate editor of Peace Review. He is author of scores of articles on Middle Eastern politics, U.S. foreign policy, international terrorism, social movements, and human rights. He is the principal editor of Nonviolent Social Movements and the author of the highly acclaimed Tinderbox, U.S. Middle Eastern Policy and the Roots of Terrorism. He also writes a foreign affairs column for the National Catholic Reporter. Steve Zunes, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Good to be on.
Good to have you with us, sir. And I know we've been trying to connect for the longest time, and I'm just delighted that we finally got our schedules in sync. It seems like the sun, the moon, and the stars are properly aligned finally. Earlier today, we took we took Paltalk to the streets. We have another show called Paltalk Unplugged in front of the United Nations to interview people about this very issue. And virtually everybody that we talk to in that neighborhood are hopeful that this new administration means a change with regard to diplomacy, a change with regard to how the United Nations can be utilized and how the United States can be an integral component of the United Nations rather than the bull in the China factory pushing its weight around. And perhaps that will cause for relations with the rest of the world to improve after January 20th. But one of our callers suggested that we're putting the cart ahead of the horse here. The guy isn't even president yet. He hasn't even been sworn in, and already we have these high expectations for him. Are those expectations too high, do you think, Steve?
I would have said perhaps not just a few weeks ago, but based on some of the appointments that have come down recently, I'm getting a little more cynical again. that it really, well, certainly an improvement over the Bush administration. Virtually all its foreign policy appointments seem to be like a return to the status quo ante under the Clinton administration, which had a lot more problems than people recall. I mean, I think compared to Bush, anybody looks good, but the Clinton administration pursued a lot of very controversial policies that alienated much of the international community. ranging from Iraq policies, its threats against Iran, supporting some of the hardline elements in Israel, the embargo on Cuba, the refusal to sign the landmine treaty, foot dragging on Kyoto. I mean, a whole bunch of things. This is under the Clinton administration. And also the biggest problem, of course, for the past 8 years in terms of America's reputation, and I think objectively the biggest disaster, is the invasion of Iraq. And virtually all these major foreign policy appointees of Obama supported the invasion of Iraq. And people say, well, this is not about ideology. This is about experience, and he just wants the most qualified people for the job. But frankly, anybody who thought invading Iraq was necessary or a good idea, I frankly question their qualifications for such positions.
But in fairness, virtually everybody, at least those in Congress, with the exception of a handful of members of Congress, voted for this invasion. So I think you'd be hard-pressed.
No. The majority of Democrats in Congress voted against it. The fairly sizable majority of Democrats in the House, and they were a sizable minority in the Senate. But this wasn't like the resolution after 9/11, which only had one dissenting vote, Barbara Lee of California. This had quite a few dissenting votes, and there were quite a few of us, including Barack Obama, incidentally, who warned that this would be a disaster and that Iraq really was not a threat at this point to our national security.
Sorry about that slight delay. I'm juggling things here. Stephen Zunes, you wrote a piece, I think, not too long ago, December the 5th, in which you said in the Huffington Post that Hillary Clinton actually brings a hawkish record to the State Department as our next Secretary of State, presuming she is, and we all expect that she will be, her nomination ratified. Does she represent your biggest concern on this new incoming administration?